Are you listening? Damn.
You're listening to the Random Select Podcast, where we're constantly crossing the line. Wait, there's a line?
Yeah, legal says there's a line.
Fuck legal. We're gonna do the show the way we want to. So sit back and relax and see where it goes. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mario, and I would like to welcome you into another episode of the Random Select Podcast. It's the podcast that's all about thought-provoking talk. And today, I kind of wanted to share a little piece, a little part of me. Kind of let you guys know how I was feeling at a certain point in my life. And I'm going to share with you the story of things that was going on with me the day my mama died, the day my mother left the earth. It was a real, sobering moment for me. It was a moment that woke me up, and it's a moment that killed me too. You know what I mean? It was all those emotions wrapped up into one, all those things I was feeling that seems like nobody that was in my inner circle, nobody that I knew could help me with, could help me work through some things. Maybe one person, and I'll get to that part of the story. But it was one of those type of things where I just felt that at that particular moment, I was all alone in the world, So let me get right into it and just tell you how the story went. My mom, her name was Mary Ann Watts, one of the nicest ladies you would ever meet. And I'm pretty sure most people say that about their mom, but this lady, she supported me in everything I did. She was always that type of person that if I had a pipe dream I was talking about, she was to always tell me, literally, these are her words. I used to say, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be a football player. I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be all this stuff. Movie writers. I want to write movies. I want to do all these things. And she used to tell me, you got to get off your ass if you want to be rich. She was shoot straight with you like that, So, I've been through a lot of things in my life, and a lot of things I haven't shared with anyone. There's only one person in my life that I've shared things with. There are things that I've never even shared with my wife, But there's a person out there in the world that I consider my vault, my confidant, my one person that I tell everything to. I know I don't have to worry about judgment. I know I don't have to worry about it getting into other people's hand. And it's a shame that I only got one person like that. But in my inner circle, I got 4 or 5 people that I consider to really be friends, brothers, family. But I can't talk to them like I talk to this person. On a weird level, this person is, me and this person is connected on a weird, crazy wavelength that I truly can't understand right at this particular moment. But that's pretty much who I tell everything to when I feel like I need to go, empty the soul locker, empty, get all those burdens and things like that off my chest. And sometimes they're more than burdens. Sometimes they're demons, get the demons off my chest. But anyway, back to the story of my mom. I remember it was like 6 o'clock in the evening when my mom called me, and she was telling me that she was having problems going to the restroom. And she said she was constipated. And I said, okay, that's no problem. Just take something and go. You're always telling people. She said, no, it's more serious than me just not going. She said, I haven't literally been to the bathroom in like 2 weeks. I said, what? She said 2 weeks. So I said, okay, with that being said, let's get on the phone. Let's make you an appointment, and we're going to take you down to the doctor, right? So she got off the phone. Then I get a call back that next morning saying that your mom had to go to the emergency room because she was having severe, stomach pains, So we were just planning to make this call the very next day to get her an appointment so she can go to see the doctor. But she started having problems and issues and pain that night. So she got taken down to the emergency room. So I go down to Grady Atlanta can't live without Grady. Shout out to all my Grady babies, all the people out there that understand what I'm saying when I say Grady baby. Those are the people that were born at Grady Memorial Hospital in downtown Atlanta. Like I said, their slogan is Atlanta can't live without Grady, and it's true. Atlanta can't live without Grady. But so I go down to the hospital, and so they say my mom is back there. Let me go see her. Now, let me premise all this by saying that my mom was legally blind. She was diagnosed with RP, which is retinitis pigmentosa. So that makes the story a little bit more, in-depth detail, because you got to remember, she's in the emergency room. Nobody's back there with her. She don't know what's going on. People could be telling her anything, so to a certain degree, she got to be a little afraid, even though my mom would never admit it. She's one of the most courageous women that I've ever known, So I go back to her and I say, "What's going on, Mom?" She said, "Oh, my stomach started hurting. They had to bring me down." And that was when I got down here and I finally tried to go to the bathroom, I told you that I hadn't been in 2 weeks. There was blood in my stool. And I know this story is going to be a little gross to people, but without this part, this part of the story has to be told, So, at that particular point, I say, okay, let me talk to the doctor and see what's going on. So the doctor comes in and he said, well, from our first initial CAT scans, we see a mass, that's in her, colon. So what we want to do is we want to get a biopsy of the mass, and then we'll go from there. Right. And then they said, oh, and I said, okay, well, biopsies, that just mean they want to test to make sure that something is all that something is not messed up. Something is, okay, just trying to see what potentially could be wrong. So they said, we're going to keep her overnight. And I said, okay, why you got to keep her overnight for? She was like, yeah, because we got to circumvent around her intestines, so to make her go to the bathroom, because she has bowel built up. And right now, this mass is not letting, the mass in the intestinal tract or the colon is not letting bowel pass through. That's why she can't go to the bathroom. That's why she's backed up. So we want to try to help alleviate that. So, okay, fine. All right. So I'll stay the night with you. She said, no, go home. You got kids, you got family. I'll be all right. And I said, but I'm your family. I'm going to be here for you. Now, with all this being said, I'm an only child. So it's a natural instinct to want to be there and protect your mom for all the stuff that me and her have been through together, So she said, no, go home. And I said, okay, I'm going to go home. So the very next day I go up and they tell me, okay, the biopsy came back and they saying that whatever she has, this mass is cancerous. So we need to go in. We need to cut out everything that this thing is touching. And so we could try to rid the cancer of her, get this cancer out of her. So I'm like, oh, okay. Then they saying after that, she's going to need chemo and things like that. So, which brings me to another point about how the healthcare system in this country is so jacked up. They sent us to this meeting to this lady where the lady comes in and explains to you pretty much the meeting is just how expensive chemotherapy is gonna cost, and what are your payment options just in case you can't pay, and what we're gonna try to do to help you pay for the chemo, because she was telling us that one pill for the chemo and whatever they use is like $1,500, but we're gonna try our best to alleviate that so it won't be so taxing on the family. So I'm sitting here like, okay, we are talking about money right now, and her life is pretty much hanging in the balance because they literally got to go in and remove stuff. And then after they got through with the surgery, they came back and tell me that, oh, the cancer had spread so much in her body, because they really wouldn't know until they opened her up. The cancer had spread so much in her body that her intestinal tract was damaged. Her anus was had the cancer, so they had to take all that out, and ended up giving my mama a colostomy. And that was a a weird shock to me, because I've heard of colostomy since at once upon a time in my life I was pre-med. I've definitely heard of colostomy, but I never really had to deal with it until I saw what was going on. And then I was like, y'all just made this decision on the fly. Nobody consulted with us, or nobody said anything. And the doctor politely explained to me, once you signed those papers, it said on those papers, anything that we come into contact with, if we feel we need to take it out, we will. They took out her ovary. They took out her anus. They took out portions of her intestinal tract, and I think her gallbladder. At this particular point, they hollowed her out. So when she came out of it, she was in so much pain. She told me that, it hurt so bad. I mean, when she first came out of the meds they had on, she really couldn't talk. She really couldn't say much. And then I had to go get some colostomy training. They brought a person in to teach me how to change her colostomy bags and do all of this. Because at this particular point, she could no longer go back to where she was living. She got to come live with me. And I'm going to try to wrap this story. I'm going to try to get to the meat and potatoes of it. I'm just trying to give you a backstory of how all this came about, So, got to the point where she gets out the hospital, and she going to chemotherapy. I'm taking her back and forth every day. And I remember I used to be so mad about having to go drive down in that Atlanta traffic. I lived out in Snellville on the outskirts of Atlanta, about 35 minutes on the outside of Atlanta. Got to drive every morning to take her to chemo, because at this particular point, regardless of how you feel in your life, this is a chore. And then I got to wait all day until they finally get finished, and then I got to bring her back, and all I can remember and saying to myself is how I fucking hate doing this, how, there's no other way to do this. But then what brought me back to reality was that she would be so sick from the chemo. Chemo's supposed to kind of make you better, but she would be so sick from it. Come back, she could barely talk. She lost so much weight in her face and in her body from the chemo. It was almost like she was alive, a walking zombie, a walking skeleton. The only thing she had on her bones was just a little meat, little skin, just to cover up the actual physical bone, because every part of her body, you could see the bones sticking out, her face, her arms, her rib cage. It was sad, and I didn't really think about it at the time, because silly me caught up into being me, being my selfish way, silly me caught up into being who I am, caught up into being Mario, all about Mario, So now fast forward to the point where she's living with me. She's just going every day. The nurse coming out, they's giving her they're giving her physical therapy to try to help her get used to having a colostomy bag and all of this. And by the time we get her situated and say, yeah, okay, she's making a full recovery, they tell us that the cancer has come back. And then after they tell us the cancer has come back, she have a stroke. Not just the type of stroke where she was somewhere where, she could have got immediate help. I mean, the type of stroke where I went out to do something and I came back and I went to open the front door and couldn't even get the front door open because she had fell out behind the door. And when she fell out behind the door, I thought that maybe, she was drunk babbling or whatever. I had no clue. I was ill-equipped to handle the signs of a stroke. I had no clue what was wrong with her. She was just babbling and talking nonsense, and and if I would have knew to this day that the most important thing you could do when somebody's have a stroke is get them to the hospital in a timely fashion. Get them to the hospital as quick as you possibly can. But I took her up to her room. I picked her up and took her to her room, thought that it was the medicine making her loopy and stuff like that. So, to this day, I walk around with this heavy heart, wondering if I didn't if I would have just acted quicker, faster, would my mom still be here? Because contrary to what people believe, she never died from cancer, even though I still fucking hate cancer from the get-go. She died from having, a brain aneurysm, in her head. And which is funny because the way death works and the way how things work, and people say that right before people die, they have a moment of clarity and they know for sure what's going on and all of that. And I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you that that is so true. Not only do I believe it, I've seen it with my own eyes. Because once the ambulance finally came and got my mom and they took her to the hospital, she was in there for a couple weeks. They told me that she had a brain aneurysm that was bleeding in her head, and ultimately, once they controlled the bleeding, they said there's nothing they could really do for her. Eventually, she's gonna die. She's gonna pass away. And then, right when they told me that, they had me go meet with another person that's gonna set up hospice care for your mom. And they didn't really care about your mom, my mom being in hospice care. They want to know, how was this going to be paid for? They want to know that can her social security check follow her into the facility? Her social security check was going to follow her into the facility because we want to try to make her as comfortable as possible before she passes away. And then they go to tell me that some people, when they go on hospice, they come out of hospice. In my 43 years of living, I've been around a lot of medical things, and I've been around people who's been in hospice before, and I work with people who work in the medical industry, and I talk to all of them, and they've said that they've never seen a person come out of hospice. Neither had I. So I went to visit my mom the day before she actually passed away. And that moment I was telling you guys about, that people say that right before people die, they have that clarity. They talk the most sensible that they've ever talked, because at this particular moment of brain aneurysm, she wasn't talking no type of sense. I'll give you a quick story. When I walked in the room, she said, "Hey, Boot," that's my nickname. She was like, "It's time to go to school today, Boot. You better get on your clothes." She was like, "You took a bath already, and you're gonna miss the bus." She said, "You're gonna miss the bus, and you don't want to be late for your first day of 5th grade." And once she said that, I just teared up, because I knew my mama was gone. I knew that I would never get her back the way that I've known my mom, I just teared up. Nobody saw it, I just kind of turned my back and walked away a couple of steps till I got it together, because I'm Mario. I don't cry. I don't show emotions. I be strong. I'm everybody else's rock. I'm always there for everybody else. I'm Mario. I'm a bull, I don't make myself emotionally available for nobody. I'm that anchor for everybody else. When everything else is burning down, you can count on Mario to go in the burning house and save everybody. That's me. But it never did occur to me who's gonna be there for me when I need to be taken out that burning house. It never did occur to me that one day I'm going to be that person that need a shoulder, need somebody to hug me and tell me it's all right. But we'll get back to that part. So I'm just got my mom over there, and they say she needs something to eat. And the lady said the lady said, "Okay, it's time for you to eat, Miss Watts." And I said, "No, ma'am, I'll feed my mom." So my mom sit up, and I'm feeding her some applesauce or something like that. And this is where that moment of clarity came in. She looked me dead in the eye. She said, "Boot, I'm going to get up out this bed and I'm going to walk up out of here. You'll see. I'm going to beat this thing. I'm not going to let this thing beat me." I said, "What?" Because up until that point, everything she had been saying was mumble jumble or from a different time and era. I said, "Beat what thing?" She said, "Yeah, you see, I beat the cancer." She said, "I'm going to beat this brain thing too." She hadn't talked that clear since none of this happened. Every time the doctors or therapists tried to talk to her, she wouldn't make it no sense, because for whatever, not for whatever reason, because of the aneurysm, her brain wasn't online. She talked to me for 2 solid minutes. I looked at my watch and I timed it. I say, how long is this going to last? She said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to see the grandkids get a chance to grow up. She said, I'm sorry that you think I didn't love you when you was younger. She said, I'm sorry that I couldn't be the best mother that you needed, but I did the very best I can with what I had. And that broke me down. Because when you're younger, you think your parents and stuff don't care about you because of some of the things that they did. My mama, she had a drinking problem, but she always seemed to have come through for me. And when she told me that she did the very best she could, you know, that's things you don't understand until you get older, until you understand with your kids. Because damn all the books, damn all the therapists, damn all the psychologists, there's no perfect parent out here. All you can do is do the very best you can. And that's something you will never, ever understand until you start having your kids of your own, start having kids of your own. You just got to do the very best you can. There's no right way to try to ensure that your kids are going to be great kids. And the problem with that is that I'm telling you, nobody was there. It was just me. I cried like a baby. I'm talking about I cried like it had been 10 years of crying let out of me. For every time I did not cry, it came out right then and there. And she looked at me and she said, go ahead and cry. She was like, I want to cry too, but somebody got to be strong. And when I'm gone, you be strong. And those are words that I'll never forget. Those are words that last with me until the end of my life. And then right after that, she went back to telling me about how preschool costs so much, you know, and telling me about how I'm going to be late to get on the preschool bus. And at that particular time, I'm like 4 years old. So she talking to me like I'm little Mario, little Boot running around there. And just like that, it went away. A moment of clarity went away just like that. So I finished feeding her. I talked to her, gave her a kiss and tell her I love her. Said I'll be back tomorrow to see you, because I was going to be there every day until my mom passed away. And then about 2:00 that morning, I get a call saying, may I speak to Mario Watts? And I'm like, yes, who is this? She was like, this is nurse so-and-so over at Eagles Landing nursing home. We just want to let you know that your mom passed away about 10 minutes ago. And you can come and see the body at about 9 before they come take it away. We just want to let you know that any question. I mean, this lady was so fucking cold, so fucking just uncaring and callous. You called a man at 2 a.m. to tell me that my mama died, and you treating it like it was a fucking customer service survey. You treating it like at the end of the call, should I press 1 for good review? Should I press 2 for not so great? Or should I press 3 for very horrible? I would have pressed fucking 3 for very horrible, because this is not the way you tell somebody that their mom died. You can tell them, but you gotta be a little bit more kind, caring, and have a little bit more compassion, because you just told me some of the worst news that my life has ever known. You just told me something that literally caved my world in, and you treated it like it was just fucking nothing. So I get myself together. I go in the bathroom. I say, okay, now I got to be strong for the family. I got to be strong for me. So I gets up. I go see my mom. You know, it's like 9. I go see her, and she just look like she sleep. You know, look like everything is fine. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to process this. I felt so numb, so dead, so angry, so mad, but as part of me felt a little joy, because I'm saying she ain't gotta suffer no more. She's out of pain, because she used to tell me that, Boot, it hurt so bad, you know. just randomly just say, "Boo, it hurt so bad." And if you love somebody, you don't want to see them in that type of pain. I mean, I went through every emotional gambit that you could possibly go through. And the lady said, "We wouldn't recommend that you touch the body. You never know what's in there." And I told that lady, "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm willing to deal whatever my mama willing to give me. I'm going to kiss my mama for the last time. And damn what you say." She just turned around and walked out the room because she saw in my face, my eyes, it was going to be a fight or battle if you tried to stop me from kissing my mama, because I'm not going to let my mama leave this world and not let her know that I love her. So needless to say, I sat there and I talked to my mom for 30 minutes until the people from the funeral home came and picked her up. Even when I washed the bag her up, I watched him wheel her to the car, and I walked and I talked to her the whole time. And he had this look like, "What the fuck are you doing? Don't you know she dead?" You know, and I just looked back at him and like, "That's my mama. What you want me to do? I'm going to talk to her till I physically can't talk to her again." So he took her. Which brings me, and I'm going to get ready to wrap this up because this is emotional just talking about it, just thinking about it, you know. And I'm going to bring it to this point. We get to the point where I invite everybody to her funeral. You know, when they get ready. Well, she didn't really have a funeral. We just had, we went to the graveyard and we put her in the ground. So there's my aunts. There are my two aunts. They're her only two living sisters, and my Uncle Joe, that's her brother. There's my two best friends. That's Dave, that's Will, that's my wife. That was my two kids, and that was both of my cousins there. And it was my wife's parents there, her mom and dad. So we got to the point where we're getting ready to put her into the ground. They bring her up. And they was like, "We're going to say a few words." And everybody, you know, my aunts said a few words because one of my aunts was really, you know, she's really heavily into church. She's passed since. And she said a few words and they was like, "You want to say something, Mario?" And I went to talk. And for whatever reason, you know, everybody was expecting me to be strong, expecting me to be this big, burly man and to say this poetic stuff, you know, about my mom. And I swear to you, that's everything that I just said I wanted to do. But it wouldn't come out. All the thing came out was tears and crying. And I was like, you know, all I wanted to do, I just remember me being stubborn and complaining and bitching about having to drive to Great Indian chemotherapy. And right now, watching her being put in the ground, that shit seems so trivial. That shit seems so selfish. That shit seems so Mario. But here's the problem with making yourself the Rock. Here's the problem with never showing emotions. Here's the problem with being emotionally unavailable for other people. Here's the problem. When I started crying, nobody came to hug me. Nobody came to console me. Nobody came to say, "Baby, it's going to be okay." Not my friends to the left, because they used to seeing me a certain way, being hard and not showing emotions and not worrying about anything. Not one of my kids. They didn't come up and say, "Daddy, it's going to be okay." Not my wife. She didn't come up to me and say, "Baby, it's going to be okay." Not her parents. Her father told her, say, go hug your husband. He needs you right now. And her response was, "He's not that type of person. I don't know what he might do if I try to hug him." Till finally, one of my aunts came over to me and hugged me and said, "Mario, it's going to be all right." That's what she called me, Mario. Say, "Mario, it's going to be all right." And at that particular time, it made me realize and put certain things in perspective that these are the closest people to me in my life. These are the people that's in my inner circle. This is my world right here. And nobody felt it pertinent. Nobody felt that it was necessary to console me after watching my mama be put in the ground and watching me cry. Nobody felt that I needed a hug and be told it was okay. And the reason no one did that, because I have set myself up, set them up, trained them for me to be so hard, trained them for me to have emotional blocks and to be emotionally unavailable. I have trained them that I'm not supposed to be human. And they don't even realize that changed the way I looked at things. They don't even realize that for a while I was mad at them. I was mad at everybody. I was mad at my fucking wife. I was mad at my fucking friends. I was mad at my kids. I was mad at everything. So whatever bad behavior I was doing at the time, I tripled that shit. Whatever bad things I was doing, whatever out there in the world, I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I just started doing things that I would never have done. I just didn't care, because I felt that at this particular point, everybody that I thought was in my inner sanctum just didn't give a shit about me at the time. Did not even come over, pat me on the back, my boys, to say, hey, dude, it's going to be okay. It's all right. These are people that I would have swore that had my back. But I made it that way because I set a precedence. I set the way they treat me because how I had been over the years. And it goes back to, I had one person that I told all this to that understood me and that gave me kind words and said to me, I wish I could have been there. I would have held your hand. I would have hugged you, and I would have told you it would have been all right. One person. And this was after the fact that I know deep in my heart, she would have been there for me. She would have held me. She would have told me it would have been all right. But not none of these other people. That's why this person will always hold a very special place in my heart forever and ever until the end of time, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt she will always have my back. She will always be there for me. Despite my flaws, despite my dysfunctionalities, despite my great ineptitude to be whatever I need to be, she's always had my back. And once I saw that I made it this way, I stopped being mad over time, because I realized they are only acting the way that I've taught them and trained them to act toward me. But I would have thought that, I would have bet the house that if the situation was reversed, I swear to you, I would have went up to one of my friends and gave him a hug and said, dude, I got you. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. It's going to be all right. We'll get through this together. I would have done that. At least that's what I keep telling myself. So I just want to say that the people we love, I look at them all like a light bulb, a great bright shining light that's shining in this world. And every time one of the people that we love leave this earth, that light goes out. And it leaves this world a little dimmer. And the day my mom died was a day for me that this world got a whole lot dimmer. All right, I want to thank you guys for letting me talk again. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Random Select Podcast. It's the podcast that is all about thought-provoking talk. You can find the Random Select Podcast anywhere that there's podcasts. We're on all the social media outlets, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. And if you're feeling that you're liking the subject matter here, please go to patreon.com/random select and donate. No matter which level you donate, we will appreciate. And once you make a donation, we do exclusive content for all the people that support the show. As far as Patreon go, and we'll appreciate anybody that supports the show, no matter if you support us from Patreon or not. We try to do the very best content that we possibly can. So once again, guys, thank you for letting me talk. I just had to get that off my chest. And until the next time, people, the Random Select is out. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the most important thing. Go to therandomselect.com for all the podcasts, for all the blogs, for all the memes. And if you will want to, you can also click on the donation button there. All right. Now, the Random Select is out.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.